Hello, this is Russell from Russell Tracy Photography, and today I have a quick tip for you on setting your white balance and color correcting your photos in post-production. Going to be using the X-Rite Colorchecker Passport. That's this little guy right here. This thing has two functions to it. First function is you have a gray card. This is a, I guess, lab-specific like color chip. In here, this is a actual neutral gray. Now, if you're setting white balance, do you need to get one of these? These things are kind of expensive. No, you can just use a regular gray card or a white piece of paper. Be careful with a white piece of paper or just a white surface, because different whites have different values. That's why this one's nice, because this is an actual verified gray, I guess you could say. So this got the gray card side. You can use this to either set a preset in your camera, or you can just take a picture of this and set your white balance in post. I have a photo example of that. The other side is this side here. This has all your lab value colors. So all this up here is for like white balance, setting your white balance, warming, cooling, stuff like that. This section down here is the actual color checker. This is where the Lightroom and the X-Rite preset, or not preset, plugin is going to create a color profile to match all your photos. Now, when you're using this, there's a couple things that you have to remember. First things first, you need to have correct exposure. If you don't have correct exposure, the plugin will not be able to recognize it won't be able to recognize the Colorchecker Passport, and two, you'll get errors saying that you're clipped. Something is clipped, so it's either overexposed or underexposed. So you want to have good exposure. It needs to be in the actual light that you're using. So obviously don't like take a picture of it inside, then go outside, do a shoot, or vice versa. It needs to be in the scene with the same lighting that you're going to be using. Then all you do is, once you get your settings set up how you want it, you put this into the scene. If you're shooting a model or something like that, you can have them hold it up next to their face like this. Or you can just, if you're doing a scene like this, as you can see in this photo behind, you can just put it into the scene, take a picture of it. So this photo right here and this photo right here. This is if you don't preset your white balance in the camera using the preset, you just use like auto white balance, or you're using a Kelvin or something like that. You can take a picture of it, and then when you go into develop, all you have to do is grab the little eyedropper. Now, if you look over here, this is as shot, so it was 4650 with +11. Now, this was a preset. I actually preset it off this. Now, if I use the eyedropper tool and grab it, it changes to 4750 with +11. So it changed to 100 degrees, which really doesn't make much of a difference in the photo. Now on to the color correction. Now this is what the color correction is going to look like. The screen that you want. You want something kind of, it's in the middle of the scene where you're going to be shooting. It kind of fills the frame. You don't want one like this. This one won't work as well. These other ones will work fairly well, but you want something that's going to pretty much fill the frame in the light that you're going to use. Properly exposed. That is the big thing. So they say that you need to make sure it's square. So make sure there's, it's not on some funky angle or something like that. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're in develop. I'm going to click that clipping off there. You're going to go to file, and once you install the plugin, if you go to export with preset, you should have under X-Rite presets here, Colorchecker Passport. So what you're going to do is you can click on that, and it's going to say DNG profile name. So you're going to name your profile. Typically what I do is I do a date and then what it was for. So today is the 9th, so I do year, month, day. So 15 for 2015, 08 for August, 09 for today, and then we'll just do test. And then we're going to do save. And up here, it's going to say processing profile generation. This may take a few minutes. Now, just a little bit about this scene. Took this on my bed using my bedspread because I've noticed that Nikon, now I don't know if it's just me or just my cameras that I use, Nikon doesn't do a very good job with red. They typically turn out with like a magenta tint. So you can't really tell here, but this brown has a lot of magenta in it, and the red has a lot of magenta in it. Using the Colorchecker Passport, this will correct that. Now, another side note, if you are color correcting, you want to make sure you have a calibrated monitor. That way you can actually see the difference. So this says Colorchecker Passport, the profile has been generated successfully. Lightroom must be restarted to activate the profile. Okay. So we're going to let this task complete right here. And now we're going to go and close Lightroom. And I'll show you this here in a second. And we're going to reopen Lightroom. While Lightroom's opening, if you ever get into a problem where there's a lot of profiles building up and you can't find your profiles, if you go into, now you kind of got to go for Mac, I don't know about Windows, but open Finder. With I think 10.7 and plus, OS X 10.7 and plus, they hid the user library. Apple hid the user library. So do go to folder, and you're going to put in this little command, I don't know what symbol that is. It's a little squiggly /library. Hit go, and you're going to get to, this is going to show up. Then you want to go to application support, Adobe, camera raw, camera profiles, and all your profiles will show up right here. So this is the one that we just made, 150809 test. If you have profiles in here that you don't need anymore, go ahead and delete them out. You can delete them out if you don't ever plan to use them again. It makes things a little more less confusing when you're trying to find profiles. So now that this is loaded, this is the photo that we just edited the profile off of. So if you go all the way down here to the right hand side, you have camera calibration. So you have process, you have 2012, which I believe is still the current, and then profile, so you have Adobe standard. So if you click on this, you have a bunch of different profiles in here. So you should have all your camera profiles. So like right now we're in Adobe standard. If I go to camera standard, you can see how it changes the profile, makes everything a little darker. Or if you go to camera neutral, kind of everything's a little darker, but it's still not 100% accurate. Ooh, wrong thing. So we're going to go back to Adobe standard. So this is the Adobe standard. What you're going to do is you're going to find whatever. Now this is what I was talking about. See how big this list is already? If you start using a lot of profiles, this list can get pretty long. So I got 150809 test. So I'm going to click this, and you can immediately tell that something happened. So I'm going to go down here. We're going to compare side by side, and you can kind of tell that everything over here kind of has a magenta cast, and everything over here is actually so this is on the left is before, this is after. So if I zoom in here and I go down here to the top where we have these browns, so if you look, see how these browns have kind of like a magenta feel to them. Same thing with this red bedspread. If you look on the right, this is actually, like if I walked upstairs right now, this is what I would see. This brown and this red. And using the Colorchecker Passport, you can kind of look down over here. If I split these again, Before is on the left, after is on the right. See how everything kind of has like a washed out look to it, and then everything on the right looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more colorful. That's the color correction. So it might not, like, if you look at this, it really didn't do a whole lot, but it took out that magenta cast and it made the colors look a little bit more lively. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos here. Say you have a whole bunch of photos and you don't want to go through and set all of these. So typically what I do when I'm editing a whole bunch of photos from a shoot and everything was done with the same light, same setting, stuff like that, what I'll do is I'll make sure the white balance is correct. So I typically use this one right here. These are for portraits. I like this one, so I'll hit the dropper, set the white balance, make sure the profile's set, and then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're selected in the photo that you made all your corrections to, and then you're going to hold shift and click to the end of the photos that you want to synchronize. Then over here on the bottom right here you have the sync button. You're going to click that and all these synchronized settings are going to pop up. So you have white balance, basic tone, tone curve, clarity, sharpening, all this other stuff. I just do check all, and basically it's going to set the color profile and it's going to set the white balance. Hit synchronize. Now if you have a whole bunch of photos, this might take a little bit, but now when I click off of this, all these photos are now going to have a white balance of 4750 with plus 14 tint, and they're going to be color corrected to the profile that we created using the Colorchecker Passport. So we'll run through here real quick so you can see the before and after on all these. So again, before is on the left, after is on the right, and you can see even with this is a little hotter exposure. This is still more accurate than how it was. Even with the wide angle of the room. Now this is kind of like a yellow wall, so if you look over here on this side, the wall looks kind of washed out. And over on the left here, this is more what it looks like with all the lights on. I just had a couple of the flow lights that I have set up in the room just to get a nice exposure in here. But you can especially see here how it's more magenta, more washed out, and over here it's got real nice deep actual color. So this is actually what the room looks like on the right. This is what the camera saw. This is the Colorchecker Passport in the middle, and if I zoom in, you can see once again how much fuller the colors look. This is easy. This is something that I just picked up. It's been years. I used to do this by hand, and I would go through with all the sliders down here and all the sliders up here, and I would color correct all the photos. Any sort of color calibration makes this so much easier. Like I said, I use the Colorchecker Passport. It's a great little tool, real simple to use, and you saw how fast it was to color correct 7 of these photos. And that's pretty much the end of this quick tip. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, go ahead and leave them below or send me a message on one of the links that I have in the description. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. If you have anything that you want to see, make sure you let me know. This has been Russell with Russell Tracy Photography. Have a good day.